Hey guys, and I'm back with another weekly forecast. Sorry I actually missed last week. Skipped a week on the forecast, but we're back at it for the first quarter to full moon phase, November 7th through the 14th of 2024. And yeah, I don't know if you've ever started a new project, and as you get started, you just kind of have to take a moment to reflect around how you really want to move forward and if some shifts need to be made. And so I just thank you for your flexibility and grace. If I, skip a week here or there, that might happen. But at the end of the day, at the foundation of these weekly forecasts is really about reading subtle shifts to the vibrational patterns, to this energy plane that underlies all material reality. I want to share what is shifting vibrationally because we're always interacting and influenced by these subtle shifts. And this is really for the purpose of you flowing and co-creating with them to live a better life, to find more harmony in yourself and with this world around you. So before, I have been sharing a little bit about the lunar phases, the first quarter to full moon. But what I'm going to do now, what's coming up and, next on my project list, is to really just create a whole video that goes in deeper to each of the phases. And I'll just share, what phase we're in. But for those of you who want to tune in more to the lunar cycle, it's something that I have found a lot of beauty working with energetically. That video is coming hopefully within this next week, so you can actually dive into more of the details of how to work with these nuanced expressions of each of the lunar phases. So headed right into some of the different changes taking place in the sky, celestial weather report, what's happening here. I am going to this week do it a little different and dive more into my interpretation of how to navigate and flow some of these changes without necessarily sharing the astronomical details, though I might mention them. And the real, what's really alive right now in these vibrational patterns is this question or this topic around your own individuality. And to expand on that, I want to ask you a question that's, how much do you change, hide, suppress, or camouflage who you really are? We all do this in our lives. We are socially conditioned to be accepted in the status quo. There's a certain structure we have to our world where we have to move and behave in certain ways. And this is necessary to some level in any society that's going to function together, to have a status quo, a culture that everyone, plays into or agrees to on some level. And then there's also a deeper layer to this that actually communicates to each one of us that it's not okay to show up as we really are, especially if that's against, the status quo. And what this does is it restricts our individuality. It restricts the freedom to be ourselves. And this ultimately causes a lot of suffering in our lives. As someone who has really broken out of the mold of societal norms, like working for myself, being an astrologer, a rather obscure career path that requires a little bit of courage, a little bit of heart to put myself out there and believe that I can do this and follow my heart into that field. Like, I understand what it feels like to be trapped in a certain job where you're like, this isn't channeling my heart, but I have to do the 9 to 5 in order to make a certain amount of money, in order to be successful. But we have to ask ourselves, like, what is success to us? How much suffering comes from suppressing who you really are? And that is what I want to invite you into this next week, especially, is to really dive into this concept, these currents that are shifting. You know, the sun is moving into an opposition with Uranus between Scorpio and Taurus, and that's definitely part of this energy where we typically will hide ourselves out of fear of rejection, fear of conflict. You know, oh, I don't want to ruffle any feathers, or you know, this a whole number of layers of why we want to prevent suffering on some level, prevent being uncomfortable with someone and speaking our truth, even though our truth might be different than what their truth is. And all of this actually doesn't serve society. You know, we will actually create a beautiful social system and structure if we allow more space for individual differences, for people to be who they truly are and connect and accept each other, and not judge differences or try to force others to be like us or be threatened when someone is different than us. And all of these themes are really alive right now. And I want you to consider the energetic freedom you would have in your life if you allowed yourself to be a fuller, more authentic expression of who you are, even though you might be going against the grain. And how do you regulate your nervous system in those moments of fear, of knowing like, oh, I'm going to say something to, you know, this person that's really close to me, that's a different opinion than what they're sharing. I don't want to make them upset. You know, we tend to get our nervous system, it's like fight or flight. We tend to go in this fight or flight state internally. And we have this ability to come back when that happens and say, no, like I am safe, like I am separate from that person's emotions, and I can regulate and maintain a sense of peace and safety in my body, even though I might be heading into a space where I'm gonna maybe ruffle some feathers or be more individual, put myself out there in a more true way that someone might reject me because they don't like, you know, what I'm sharing authentically, and I'm going to be okay. And to be more with the self in those moments and realize that you don't have to get caught up in the emotions of other people and that acceptance of other people. And in that, you actually give more people space to be themselves and to love their individual expression. So this week, you will be really utilizing and harmonizing with the opportunity present in these vibrational shifts and patterns if you focus and develop more of your authentic individual expression, even if it calls you to maybe step out of some boxes that you've been putting yourself in. Free yourself up and say, you know, I'm going to be more of who I am, and sharing yourself honestly and kindly. You know, we can do this both ways, and see what that really does for your life. See how you can find more freedom in that, being able to separate from other people's emotions, especially when they might prevent you from showing up honestly as who you are. So if you are interested in learning more about the vibrational shifts of your energy field, of how these directly connect and influence you specifically, well, I offer some one-on-one services to do that. I have private sessions and personal recordings, so you can check out those below. And I also have a full moon circle that I do every single month that allows, basically we work with that full moon energy. It's a really great time to do some emotional releasing, some harmonizing, some building of self-awareness in our field. And so that link to register for that free online event is below as well. So I'd love to see you there. And thanks so much for watching. I'm curious what comes up for you as I share some of these things. So feel free to leave a comment and share with someone if it calls to you.